What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel, check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on a recent episode of the Dan Patrick Show. And basically, I want to speak about Dan Patrick's reaction to Michael Jordan's statements and comments about load management, right? And Dan Patrick, he was less than impressed with Michael Jordan's comments on load management. But my opinion on Michael Jordan's comments is I thought that it was necessary. And the reason why I think that his comments are necessary is because like this generation needs the generation before them to give them guidance, right? And so, but Dan Patrick was kind of saying that he wanted more from Mike, which I can agree to that, right? It would be cool to get into like uh Mike probably talking about certain games or certain players and what he think of these players and stuff like that. That'd be cool, but to for Mike to at least tell how the game should be played, I think that is for me I think that's good also, But I'm going to play Dan Patrick's reaction. First, I think what's going to happen is Dan Patrick is going to set it up, but he's going to play Michael Jordan's comments and then his reactions. So I'm gonna play, parts of the show. Then I'm gonna interrupt and then give my input.
Michael Jordan did his sit down. Well, I think it's just a one time only. Mike Tirico visits Michael Jordan in Florida and they go over a variety of topics. I'm assuming that's what this is going to be. I hope it's not. I hope it's timelier. Then we can talk bigger pictures, like this story, this player, something that happened, and you can get his reaction to it, not in real time, but let's say once a month, Chirico's able to go there. I hope it's not just a one and done where you sit Mike for 3 hours and you go over a variety of topics. But he did talk about load management last night.
All right. So before they get into Michael Jordan's statement about load management, I think it would be cool too for Mike to kind of give his perspective on different aspects of the game. But those kind of situations can become touchy because people might feel like Michael Jordan is critiquing their game or criticizing their games and stuff like that. So maybe this way right here is the best way to do it, and maybe it's enough for this next generation to take heed. I think it's a way to steer people in the right way, in the right direction without criticizing. I think that's what they're trying to do with Michael Jordan.
What do you think of when you hear the term load management thrown around?
It shouldn't be needed. I never wanted to miss a game because it was an opportunity to prove. It was something that I felt like, the fans are there to watch me play. I want to impress that guy way up on top who probably worked his ass off to get a ticket or to get money to buy the ticket.
You really cared about the guy who sat in the top deck at the Palace in Auburn Hills to watch you when you came to Detroit?
Yeah, because I know he's probably yelling at me. And I want to shut him up. He's calling me all kinds of names. I definitely want to shut him up.
Right.
You have a duty that if they're wanting to see you, and as an entertainer, I want to show, right? So if the guys are coming to watch me play, I don't want to miss that opportunity. Now, physically, if I can't do it, then I can't do it.
Okay.
All right, so let me say that about Mike Tirico asked Michael Jordan, did he really care about the guys sitting up in the nosebleed section, right? And Mike said, yeah, he definitely cared. And so I wouldn't have any reason to not believe Mike just based on the way I seen Mike play the game. Just based on the way you never seen Mike really have any, like he was always good with fans and stuff like that. So I believe Mike when he say that. And I also agree with his statement about load management. Like it shouldn't be necessary.
There's no news here because Mike wanted to play. These guys, they're not going to be like, man, did you hear what Jordan said? Now let's play 75 games. That's not going to happen. I'm sure the NBA love this too because the NBA is trying to get these players to play more games. They're not going to do it. There's too much.
All right. Now, Dan Patrick said that may not. All you really need to do, all Michael Jordan really need to do is inspire one basketball player. Like if he can get Shea Gilgeous-Alexander to play, to play to his level, or what's the guy named Edwards? If he can get the guy, I forget his name. If he could get the guy from the Minnesota Timberwolves, Edwards, to play at that level, then what's going to happen is, or Tyrese Halliburton, even any of these guys that's coming up and they want to be the new face of the NBA. And if they start winning and they start dominating and win beyond too, like you're going to have to match their effort and their energy in order to beat them. You're not going to be a part-time worker and think you're going to be somebody that's working like time and a half. It don't work like that. So Anthony Edwards, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, if those guys start to dominate and separate themselves and pull away from the rest of the league, then everybody else is going to come along with them or get embarrassed. Michael Jordan played, he always got everybody's A game. Whenever they play, people wanted to prove that they belong on the court with him from just everybody. People, you didn't want to get embarrassed, so you played as hard as you could. So I think that, right, all he had to do is inspire one or two basketball players in today's NBA, and then, they'll be off and running. They'll set the tone.
To be made, and if you can somehow sit out instead of playing through something and it extends your career, you're going to do that because the amount of money that's there. Would we like you to play 75 games? Yes. Would we like you to get paid for each game you play? Yes, we would. Wait till somebody is making $1 million a game and they decide to sit out 2 games. Wait till that happens.
Well, let me say this too. I don't think that like basketball players coming up would aspire to be somebody like Ben Simmons, like get paid and then just don't do anything, or aspire to be somebody like Zion, right? Come to the league and have weight issues. When Charles Barkley was a rookie in the league, the older veteran players told him, what was it? Moses Malone told him that you fat and you out of shape. That inspired him to get into better shape. And then, the rest is history. So you don't want to be Ben Simmons. I think if they structure the contracts in a different way, whereas though that money is not guaranteed, not all of that money is guaranteed, then that'll be some more incentive. But back in the day, people, the guys ain't want to come out the game because they knew that number 6 on the bench down through number 12 is trying to get more. They trying to get more time. They want to get those, those contracts. So if you're not playing hard, then you wasn't going to be out there. And coming out of college back in like the 80s, the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it was just so much talent that when you came to the league, you did whatever you needed to do in order to stay. I don't care if you led the nation in scoring as far as like when you was in high school and then in college, you was the go-to guy. When you get to the NBA, you have to sometimes adjust your game. They don't need you to score. We already got an Allen Iverson, so we don't need an Allen Iverson on our team. We need you to be able to play defense. Everybody, when they were in high school and then most of these guys in colleges was lighting it up. But you don't need that. You need somebody who's going to rebound. You need somebody who's going to play defense. You need people that can knock down the outside shot. So you're not going to be every team, you're not going to be a volume shooter, everywhere you go. And so you had to learn how to get in where you fit in. But let me go back to some more of Dan Patrick.
They're going to rest. Now you can say hey, I tweaked something. Okay. We have to believe you. But, you get load management with these guys. LeBron a couple of years ago, I thought, was trying to prove, hey, I'm going to play 70 games. I think he played 71 and 72. Hey, at my age, look at me. But then, like the prior 5 years to that, there were some seasons where he's playing 50 games, 55 games. And he's one of the best. Well, he's probably been in better shape than any other athlete. But Mike didn't make any head. If Michael said, hey, I understand load management, I don't blame them, now you're getting a headline. But for Mike, I was kind of surprised that Mike Tirico did ask the question because, it's a topic. But, when I had the commissioner on and I said, you got to do mandatory, or minimum games, you got to have 65 games to qualify for postseason honors. And then he did it. Now, there's some people who weren't happy about it, still aren't happy about it. But I'm trying to get the most out of a product. I'm trying to be able to see these players. Instead of you tune in and you go, wait, where's Steph Curry? Oh, he's out. All right, I'm out too.
Yeah, I think I like, though, the fact that, what Dan Patrick said, as far as you needing to play a certain amount of games to qualify for, for postseason honors, which, you shouldn't be able to play 30 games and then somebody puts you on the ballot for MVP, that like stuff like that is crazy. But, if you want to win some type of post-game honors, then, 65 games would qualify you because, that means that you are there more often than not. I like that. And, with that being said, I want to get back to some more of what this guy's saying, though, because Dan Patrick, because I think that some of what he's saying I agree with, but I think that Mike just coming out and just saying it, I think is enough. If you love a game of basketball, then you're going to be out there and you're going to you're going to want to be out there and you're going to want to put your best foot forward.
I hate to see it. Now, I don't want you playing through something, that could be severe. And yes, I grew up in a completely different era where I never, ever thought about that. I never thought, oh my gosh, he's going to sit out because why? Back-to-back games. And, okay, today's athlete is in better shape. Travel is better. Nutrition is better. All of that. But they're sitting out more games. Like Kawhi Leonard, when he plays, I go, I'll be damned, Kawhi played. That's not good for the league. For what he gets paid, and I know he's a Hall of Famer, but to me, he's never been must-see TV. He doesn't talk about the game. I don't know if he loves the game. I can say he's a good businessman, but
See, and that's one thing I think that's a point too right there. I want to when that's what fans really do want to know. They want to know that they're watching somebody that is passionate about the game, somebody who loved the game, and that's what was so cool about listening to Kobe talk about the game. Like the way Kobe spoke about the game was even in my opinion, I thought it was good for the game and made him a great ambassador, even much more than Mike, because Mike really don't speak on the game, but Kobe, anytime, they put a mic in front of Kobe, or he made himself more accessible than Michael Jordan. Magic Johnson was another guy who made himself accessible and is a great ambassador for the game. And they're going to tell you, Charles Barkley also, Shaq, Kenny, like those guys, they're going to tell you what needs to be done in order to be a successful basketball player. And I think this generation coming in now will probably, have those same type of sentiments, because the environment, in my opinion, if whoever controls the environment will control the players, right? So, you had player empowerment. So you allow the players to dictate what went on in that environment. Now, management and ownership needs to take that back and dictate. They need to set the tone and establish the environment. And the players, they'll just fall right back into order. Of course, if you can only play 50 games or 60 games and still get the same pay, some of those guys going to do it. You probably would have had guys who would have been able, if they was allowed, to do that back in the 70s and the 80s, they may have done it too. That's just like in the 70s. Like a lot of those guys in the, in the late 60s and the 70s, they were known for being drug addicts and alcoholics and stuff like that. And the NBA cleaned that out. They didn't ask the guys to clean that out. The NBA came in and they changed some things. And if you didn't want to get help, then they got you out of there. So part of that falls on the NBA. I blame player player empowerment. I believe that people should have a right to control their career, but not at the expense of the league. So yeah, I was gonna play some more of this, but basically you get the point. What Dan Patrick was saying, he wanted more. I can't blame him for wanting more from this interview. But Mike is not going to. He's not going to talk like Magic. He's not going to talk like Kobe or Charles Barkley, which I'm cool with because he's Mike. He's different from those guys. But if you ask Magic a question, Magic just going, or Charles, especially Charles Barkley, you ask Charles Barkley a question, but just be ready for the answer because he's going to tell you, what it is. So that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.